of this gospel. Now, suppose there was one of them that Jesus loved more than the others. The Gospel of Judas Iscariot says it's Judas Iscariot. James, this could be James, for all we know. Someone just substituted the name. Well, this individual is never named, except that it's, and this is the individual writing this gospel. I think it may say something like that at the end. I don't know. Anyway, we do have the same scenario. He dipped the piece of bread and gave it to Judas Iscariot, or rather Judas of Simon Iscariot, whatever that means. But I love this next thing that we have here. Judas kept the purse. You know, so he was actually a thief, you know, because he kept the purse. And we already did that one. By the way, at the end of this, even as I love you, 34, so you should love each other. The love commandment, love your neighbor as yourself, the royal law of Scripture. One more time, we have it throughout the scrolls. We have it in Josephus' description of John the Baptist. We have it in Josephus' description of the Essenes, and so on. Let's see. So I bring John up to date, and I'll put my narrative line from John aside at the moment. We can pick up in John 18. And Judas, who was betraying him, in Greek it's delivering him up always, knew the place, because he often went there with his disciples. You see, it's always disciples in John. It's never apostles. You say, so what? Well, I don't know. So what? What's the difference between a disciple and an apostle? Do you know what the difference between a disciple and an apostle? I don't know what the difference between a disciple and an apostle is. There seem to be more disciples than apostles, that's all. How many disciples? Some texts in the early church say there's 500 disciples. I don't know how many disciples there are. And the apostles are the central group of disciples. Well, it's so unclear that it becomes confusing. That's all I can tell you. And then he took the band of officers, the chief priests, and Judas came there with torches and lamps. And Judas, who also delivered him up, by the way, this is Jesus the Nazarene. N-A-Z-O-R-A-I-O-N in Greek. Jesus, not Jesus the Nazarene, not Jesus from Nazareth. What does Jesus the Nazarene mean? I don't know. I just did, but I'll do it again for your sake. N-A-Z-O-R-A-I-O-N. In transliterated Greek letters. That's what your interlinear or your linear is supposed to do for you. Give you those spellings. I'm not chiding, I'm just kidding you. And he was standing. Again, look at the standing usage. He was standing with them also. Was he a standing one? Was he one of Simon Magus's standing ones? Why would he put there? And he was standing with them also. Why doesn't it just say, and Judas, who was delivered up, was there too, or was with them also? Why does always it's standing? Maybe no reason. I think it's curious. I would catalog all the standing in the Gospels, since we know from the Pseudo-Clementines that the standing one is this primal Adam, supernatural sort of incarnationist being. I've repeated it enough so. And look, then Simon Peter drew the sword he had and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his right ear. Now you see, I don't know, we'll go back to the other Gospels in a moment. John has more detail at these points now. He knows whose ear he struck off, and he knows it's Simon Peter who's got a sword. How come Simon Peter suddenly is walking around with a sword? You say, what's going on here? Again, they always misunderstand the Master's message. These are not sort of peaceful saints and suddenly they're armed people. What are they doing with arms? Why is he dueling with the high priest's servant? Again, how accurate is this picture? That's what we're looking for, aren't we? Again, you can discuss with me. I'll just keep going because we don't have that much time. I know you probably have your own views, and I apologize for not sitting and moving them back and forth. We just don't have enough time, otherwise we can't get through it, and I appreciate your forbearance on that. But did this happen in this way? I don't know. You'll have to decide. Then Jesus said to Peter, "Put up your sword. Should I not drink the cup usage there, which the Father has given me?" So he's Socrates here. He's not going to resist. Socrates, if you know the Phaedo, if you know the Crito, if you know the various dialogues of Plato, they go to Socrates, they tell him to flee, and he won't flee. He said, I have to, I have done nothing wrong, and he basically preaches non-resistance to evil. This is not new. This is known in the Greco-Hellenistic world as a heroic way to behave. And frankly, I think it draws on that. I don't think it's Palestinian. I don't think this is known in Palestine, this way of behavior. So you say, well, so you see, Jesus understands Hellenistic civilization, what they expect from noble philosophical individuals? No, perhaps. Maybe it's Hellenistic people writing their picture of Jesus and Socratizing him. Because Socrates had been around already for 4 centuries in the mind of the Greco-Roman world as a noble, the good man done to death by the evil society. I mean, Peter's behavior is far more comprehensible in Palestinian framework, wouldn't you say? Anyway, again, these are things you have to struggle with when it comes to trying to find Jesus. The cup language is familiar. By the way, in line 15, we have Peter standing now at the door. In James, the letter of James, I think we have an allusion to standing at the door, meaning the last judgment here. Peter is standing at the door, line 16. And the officers were standing and warming themselves, and Peter was standing with them. In line 22, he said these things. One of the officers standing beside Jesus gave him a blow with the palm of his hand. And 25, Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. I mean, that's around 6 standings there. Is that just because the guy's a bad writer? Or is that the usage standing have a lot of significance? Is it a charged expression? Again, I can't